I'm filming now. I'm filming my plastic to be one day vegetable patch. And what were these? Blackberry, thornless blackberry. One day there'll be something. Yep. Some compost, manure, because I don't have any. Strawberries, onions, rhubarb. That's another blackberry, thornless. It's a Waldo, thornless blackberry. I've got 5 different ones. It's my mandarin tree that I rescued. It's looking pretty dead. Anyway, who knows? It might come good. They don't like the wind out here. It's my compost bin. Well, that was a lemon tree that I had to pull out of a very, very wet hole. So it's here now. Fingers crossed. Can only hope. Another fatality. Well, I think I might give up on citrus out here. Got some flowers. Who knows, might get some leaves. So, it's my asparagus bed. They were very young. If I'd known this is what I was buying, I would have paid more and bought the other ones. But anyway, who knows? And strawberries, and onions. Apparently they like each other. It's coming along. I'm filming now. Two more arches have to go up. Some chives that I rescued from the dogs. Onion and more chives. One lot's garlic, one lot's plain. Fig tree that I bought like 20 years ago. Doesn't want to do anything. Anyway, I rescued that out of a wet hole too, and maybe it'll be happier here. Some of the trees are doing good. Some of them are still waiting to blossom. So that's my red love apple tree that I bought quite a few years ago now. It's doing pretty good. Won't be long. We'll get some nice blossoms. It's my quince tree, and it's loaded with flowers, and they've even managed to stay on after the wind we had. So this tree's been in the ground here for almost 5 years. So that's my other red love, and that was in a pot at my old house, and you can see the difference between that one and the first one I showed you, because we bought them at the same time. I don't know what this one is. I think maybe a plum tree, I'm hoping. I pulled that one out further down and it was drowning before the winter, during winter. So I planted it further up here and it's really happy now. I just don't know what it is. And this one, see if I'm filming, yep, is a very old English variety of apple. So it's happy enough and it should blossom soon. That is a Naji pear that I recently bought, and be interesting to see how that goes. Another apple. I think it's a Granny Smith. I'm not sure. We'll find out one day when it finally gives me an apple. And that is a Mulberry. I bought that one 2 years ago now, when we were still at the old house. And this one is, I can't think now, pomegranate, but I don't think it likes it out here. And that is a Nectarine Tree. It was a diseased, horrible thing that my sister gave me because she went to Tasmania and she couldn't take anything with her. So we'll see how it goes. And this one she gave me as well is an Angelina Plum. So it's doing pretty good. And that one came from my old house. That's a Golden Delicious. And it's probably 15 years old now. So it's been in the ground here for over 4 years. And this is the back of my mound, my boomerang shaped mound, and it's pretty big. And that's that rotten septic system that's waterlogged the backyard, and you can probably see the drainage field lines. You can see the different colour grass that I recently mowed. I thought to myself that I've got all this space back here, that I'm going to grow some pumpkins in this area. I'll just keep them trained at the back here. So if my naughty dog decides to pee on it, it won't matter, because I can wash the pumpkins. Anyway, every plant in here, other than a couple of roses and that daisy and one other one, we can't see from here. Oh, there's a yellow one there. That yellow one. Be careful not to trip back here. That yellow one there came out of my old garden. So, and that red one, that red daisy. They were gifts. So pretty much everything else here I brought with me. Well, I've been talking to myself. I thought I was filming, but I wasn't. I was walking around, probably filming, and then stopped and talked and wasn't filming. That's what happens when I use the pause button. Never mind. Like I said, this little purple daisy here was in a pot with the yellow one, which I'll show you after. And there were two in the pot, so I took the one with two different ones in a pot. If you ever buy plants, always try to find the ones that have more than one plant, or more, sometimes they're in a hurry when they pot them, and you just get a couple in there and you get a freebie. And this is my carpet rose. I've got two of them, and it is an apple blossom colour, and I really love it. So it's got a lot of weeding to do, but I will do that with my styropo that I run over this, and it does it pretty quickly. Well, I do it pretty quickly. It doesn't do it on its own. So it's a good little gadget to have. So these are my purple fountain grasses, and they're kind of asleep at the moment. Not too sure I should prune them back yet. So anyway, I think I've about 7 or 8 of them that I pulled out from Scoresby, where I used to live, and planted here. And that is a pink statice. So I left my statice there. I was so upset that I forgot to take that pot. I left a few pots there, and one of them had a really established statice plant in it. So anyway, I bought a couple more, and this time I went for the pink one. So that's another fountain grass, and it's got that horrible weed around it, but because I brought things with me from Scoresby, quite a few of the plants have got this, I don't know what it's called, but anyway, it doesn't matter if it takes over out here. It's only ever going to grow in this garden bed. And that's one of those little plants I told you that I pulled up at Scoresby, and they had probably 2 leaves on them when I did, and they're all doing really good. Another pig face, an orange one. I'm going to see if I can get a nice bright red one. And those purple bushes back there, I've got 3 of them. They were air cuttings that I took from my big plant in Scoresby, and they're all funny shaped, but they're doing okay. So this little thing was in a pot of 3. That's the way Bunnings was selling them, and apparently the purple ones don't do as well. So I've got a white one and a yellow one. They're doing much better. There's one more box there. I've got to plant up. I think there's only two boxes still to go out of a lot. And this thing was a barrel that we cut in half, and I filled it with plants. It's very brittle now, so I think I might just break away the pieces and pile the dirt up around the plant. Or plants, there's quite a few different ones in there. My irises should be all yellow, because I think I didn't pinch them, I dug up all the yellow ones because I really like them. So, what's this? That's my daylily. I've got a few different ones. They're coming up all over the place. Some more calendula, geraniums, a few different geraniums. What's that thing there? It's a Helleborus. Can't really see it. So there's the yellow one that was in the same pot as that tiny little pink thing, and it's doing pretty good compared. There's the white one, and that one's quite big now. So I'm doing the best out of the 3 that were in that pot. So there's some sort of plant here. I guess it's an iris as well, a different type. And that one, I don't know what they're called, but that came from Scoresby. And it's a white one and a pink one, and it's actually loving it out here. So it's gone nuts. So I'm happy about that. So there's another one of these bushes. I've probably got about 10. One up there, and they're really pretty when they flower, excuse me. And a few more irises. I've got to get out here and weed. I think probably tomorrow I'll spend a day out here, clean it up. And over there's some geraniums. They're the ones that you can make tea out of. I thought I grabbed a few different ones. And here is a rose that my sister gave me because she couldn't take it with her. So it's got a lot of those calendula growing around it, and it does pretty good. It's very pretty. Lots of weeds. I've got to get in there. I don't get to see the back of this all that often, this mound. And that's comfrey. I dug up a lot of comfrey and planted it in here in different spots. It's one of my new roses. It's called Beautiful Girl, but I really couldn't tell you much more about it because I picked 5 and they're dotted around back here, and I don't remember what each rose was. They were just roses that I really liked. There's another one, not sure what that's called. Summer of Love, that one's called. So it'll be a nice surprise when they flower, because it'll be a surprise to me when I see them. And this is my pineapple sage. It's not real crazy about being out here because it's pretty windy, but I've had it a long time and I dug it up and brought it with me. Now this rose and one behind me, I couldn't dig up the parent plant, so I did some cuttings and it's doing pretty good. It has a really pretty purpley pink colour, and this is the other one. So I managed to get 2 from that one, and I'm really happy about that because it's a beautiful rose, so made me happy. And there's a very unhappy blueberry. Who knows what it's going to do. And a few bits and pieces that I shoveled in there. So this is my rosemary. I have 2 that I took, they were cuttings from the main bush in Scoresby, and that's the other one down there, the little one. So they're doing pretty good. And these Chinese lantern, I had 3, one died, but they were cuttings from the main plant in Scoresby. So 2 of them survived, which I'm really happy about. Well, I don't know what these are called. I just call them lettuce leaf plants, and I have a lot of them that I've just dotted around the place, because I used to have a like a cottagey garden before, and now I have a full sun garden. But apparently if you plant them with that woody stem all the way down into the soil, they will grow, and they seem pretty happy, so I'm happy. So here's one of my lovely roses, very old one. I've had this one for over 20 years, and somehow I managed for it not to die when I transplanted it. So it doesn't have a perfume, but it gives a lot of pretty pink flowers. So I'm happy that it survived the move. That's our septic system. It's a necessary evil. We didn't really realise we had to have one when we decided to build here. But anyway, we did sort of realise it. And then we rang council, and they said they were not going to install sewage here for a very long time. So we didn't have a choice but to install it. And because we only live on an acre, we had to buy this particular one, which is probably the most expensive, to purify the water enough so that any runoff that ends up going straight down there to where that shed is in the next property has to be very clean, which it is. And guess what? Somebody bought that block, and where I'm filming right now, which is my view from the bedroom window that I love to look at when I wake up, is going to be the back of their house. So they tried to be considerate towards us and the other neighbours next door to us and picked the best spot for their home. So they are a lovely couple, and it'll be interesting to see what they end up building. Can only be 4.5 metres high like our house, so it shouldn't be too much of an intrusion. But anyway, they're a young couple, very nice. So they put their house up this side of that block. There's 4 acres there. They bought the 4 acres so that if in the future they sell it, people cannot build something in the wrong spot that would be worse than what they chose. And their other half, further down the bottom end of their block, they're going to subdivide and sell. So whatever those people do, we don't really care. But anyway, I'm grateful to have a very nice couple moving in, and they have a chocolate lab who's the most beautiful dog that our dogs have decided they think is okay. So it should be interesting once they start building. Oops, well that wasn't a weed. It's really hard to work out what weeds are in this lot. Anyway, I was pulling out a few and managed to pull out one of the flowers. Not to worry. These are my freesias that I saved, and that leafy thing there, what are they called? Forget-me-nots, I think. And they probably take over here, which is fine. They can take over all they want. So, what do I have here? Dahlias. And, well, they're sort of done until they come back through the ground. And I've left the sticky bits in there so that I remember that I actually had dahlias in there. So So anyway, this one, this pink dead looking thing, is a very, very old, I think geranium or pelargonium that I rescued from a place that I worked at, and the owner said I could have it. It was in a pot, and it was probably in that pot in its spot at the place I worked at for a good 10 years, and I've had it for a good 10 years, so it's a pretty old one. I don't think you can buy that one anymore. So anyway, hopefully it will recover from its transplant and look as pretty as it was originally in the pot. I've got a lipstick plant. I actually bought this one with my Bunnings vouchers because I had over $400 in Bunnings vouchers that people gave me after I left the house and we moved, but we were in a rental, so I couldn't spend it. And then when we moved here, I did spend it, and so this was one of the things I bought, along with a heap of compost and manure in bags, which was very expensive, but in times like today where you can hardly get anything, I was actually lucky to get that. And this is one of my geraniums, I guess. It has a really pretty colour. It's just about to flower, and I propped it up with a frame, which was a tiny cutting from my sister's house, and I've been growing it for the last 3 years, so it seems pretty happy. And that's another daisy, pretty yellow one, which was one of my Bunnings vouchers. There's some comfrey, it's dotted all over the place. And this, try not to make you feel ill while I'm moving, these are my hydrangeas. I've got 2 back here and 1 over there in the pot, which are all cuttings from a plant that I had originally at the old house. Here's another rose, Bella Rose it's called. I don't know what it's going to look like. I just went through the book and chose 5 roses, and that's one of them. So another surprise for me. Another daylily. I think that could be an apricot one, and one of my favourites. Another daylily, that's a maroon one. And they're getting over being transplanted again. They've been transplanted so many times they don't know where they are. But anyway, this is their final home, so they should do well. So I know that I shouldn't have these. I've got 3 clumps and I just love them. So anyway, I'm a responsible gardener and they're not going to end up anywhere they shouldn't. So I'm really happy that I have them, and that's that. And this rose is a Banksia, pink. It's got a beautiful pink flower on it. I'll be able to just find a flower. There you go. And so I dug up from the old house, and it was the smaller one of the 2 that I had. I had a huge one growing on the back fence where the washing lawn was. And I'm so happy that this one has decided to survive. Well, this geranium smells like lemon, so that's one of my ones that I make tea out of. Haven't done it for a while, but I brought a cutting with me from the old place so that I could. More pots from the old house, and my cyclamen were not happy, so I've stuck them up here on the table, out of the wind and out of the sun, which we have a lot of here, and they're finished now anyway, but hopefully they'll recover. And one of my very old azaleas, I've had this one for over close to 40 years, and it got sick, so I broke all the branches off, and it's starting to recover. No idea what that thing is, but anyway, it just keeps growing, and it came with us. And that's a honeysuckle cutting that I got from a neighbour who was a good friend of mine. at the old house. And I've moved some things into this corner because they weren't doing very well. So hopefully they'll pick up, because we just get so much wind here. It knocks everything around. But I think this thing will recover. And there's some pelargoniums, I think, which I bought a while ago. And they get morning sun here with shade and some sort of plant in there. I brought that with me because I like the hanger. I used to work with a guy who crocheted, and he made these, and it's actually made out of the thread that goes into your heater hoses in your car. And he used that to crochet this, or he didn't crochet this, but he made it. And he crocheted a little tablecloth that I have inside from the same thread, and they should last forever. And this tree I bought about 3 years ago, and it was quite a big tree to start off with. It's a wish I could remember the name. It looks like a maple. Anyway, I really don't know. I've forgotten. But anyway, it's surviving, and I've got 2 of them. There's another one over in the distance there, a smaller one. This is my ginkgo that my sister bought for me, I think for a Christmas present about 4 or 5 years ago. Seems happy enough. It gets a lot of water here, but we raised it up in like higher than the main level of the soil, and then we built the soil up, so it seems pretty happy. No idea what this is. It's a native, and it gets a nice white flower on it. I liked it because it can tolerate a lot of water, which it gets here. So I got 2 of them and some bottle brushes, callistemon I think. Anyway, they're a really pretty bottle brush with a very, very red flower, and they become like a weeping tree. So I've got 3 of the bottle brush and 2 of those other natives, and they should hopefully help dry up this area a bit as they get bigger. And now we're in the dog's yard, and my husband put up a tiny retaining wall for me, which we're going to backfill at some point, just to bring the soil level up there a little bit, and it helps keep all the rubbish from up here going down there in those drains. That's kind of the main reason. And he's very clever because he put a curve into the timber to follow the concrete there. So he's a clever cookie, my husband. Goes all the way down there. So this is the dog's yard, and also kind of a shady area, so there's a bit of sun where this fence is, so I put a couple of roses there. And those roses over there I bought from my neighbour for her birthday and her 50th anniversary. So she was kind enough to put them where I could see them, so I didn't have to buy the same ones for me. She's a very lovely lady. So I don't know what this is called, but I love it, and it gets a really pretty fluffy sort of purple flower on it, and it likes the shade, and it likes a lot of water, and it smells like cherry. So it's a lovely plant, and it seems happy enough here. So this Camellia I bought probably 40 years ago, and it's spent all its life in a pot, and it's now in the ground surrounded by weeds, but it doesn't matter. And looks like it needs food, but I don't want to feed it, because the last time I did that was with one of the camellias my sister gave me, and I killed it. So all my camellias are looking a bit sad and yellowy, and I'm not too sure what to do yet, but I'll work it out. And this disaster, don't ever try it, because it probably won't work. We dug a big hole, and we took a compost bin, and we put holes into the sides of the compost bin, lots of them, and we buried it 3/4 of the way down, and put some gravel in the bottom like they told us to. And it was supposed to be a poop bin for the dogs, but it just filled up with water, so we're not using it. probably get pulled out. And when I get the soil for the down there where the retainer wall is, I will backfill it. And it was a very bad idea. So anyway, I won't be doing that again. So this is one of my climbing roses, and I haven't done a very good job of training it because it was in a pot for a very long time. But it seems happy enough here, and it is the most beautiful flower. It's an apricot colour, apricot pink, and the flowers are huge. They're like dessert plates. The last flower that I got was massive, and the one down there hanging on the fence is a gold bunny climber, I think, and I love that one. I've had that for many years, so it looks like it's recovering very well. So this little stick of a thing, not sure what it is. I think it's a tea tree, which does very well in a wet area, which this is a very wet area, and it just grew in one of my pots, and it's probably about 3 years old now. So I thought, well, I've had it all this time. I need something to soak the water up out here, and it should do its job if it doesn't get murdered by my dog. That's Remy. And the other culprit is Rosie. So I've put another one of these natives in here, and I think it should do quite well. I thought I'd grow some wheat. Not really. We brought our raised beds with us, all of these, and I filled them with straw bales, hay bales, and I lined the bottom of them with weed matting and cardboard, and I've let the bales just do their own thing, and because I want them to rot, because they were way too fresh to plant anything into. So they've been in here for about 6 months. And down the bottom there is my daughter's old bathtub, which will become my worm farm once I have enough to feed the worms, which I don't at the moment. Because when you have a lot of worms, they can eat a lot, and you've got to feed them. So anyway, I plucked out some of the wheat from different areas, and where those pots are where the joins are between the bales, and my lovely Rosie likes to dig in there. So this is my magnolia that I won from Fleming's nursery, and I also won a crabapple, and the other tree, for the life of me I cannot remember the name, but it gets a beautiful autumn colour and gets quite big. It was the same as the one at the back that I couldn't remember the name of. It'll come to me. Well, I did a very silly thing.